Welcome back to the Bourbon Note, everybody. I'm Ben. Got a quick little bourbon hunting video for you. Let's get into it. So a couple of months ago, I took a trip down to Las Vegas and then Utah and Arizona for the sole purpose of bourbon hunting. I already posted some of the bourbon hunting from the Las Vegas Strip, and so I wanted to share with you one of the stores that I got in Arizona. This is a small little town called Fredonia, Arizona. It's just south of Kanab, Utah, right on the Utah-Arizona border. And there's this cool little shop that was built back in the 1950s. I think she said it was built in 1955, and the same family has owned it since 1969. Had a great vibe to it, and I filmed the shelves. I didn't get too close up because most of the bourbon was behind the counter, but you can kind of see what they had. But I did find a couple of cool bottles that I did purchase, kind of like a rare bourbon find, so I'll share that with you after the footage. Let's check it out. So this is the Border Store Liquors in Fredonia, Arizona. Let's check it out. This is definitely a cool little shop.
Built in 1955, and the same family has owned it since 1969. The owner was raised on the ranch as a cowboy, and so couples, so that's horses. Thank you. You're welcome. I know how bad it is. Did you want any of this?
Yes.
It's just you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Crown Single Malt. They got a little Caribou Crossing, some Buffalo Trace. These are cool little
So do you live like your own here?
old school refrigerator for beer.
You got like a person that lives right there.
This is a super cool store.
And he has horses over there.
Got these cool old Ezra Brooks decanters, which I've never seen. I've seen a ton of the Jim Beam ones, but never Ezra Brooks. They also had a Midwinter Night's Dram down there for $185. I kind of missed that before. Gigantic Johnny Walker Red. So after filming that, I got to talking with the person from the liquor store, and I found out that a couple of those Ezra Brooks decanter bottles were actually unopened. So still completely sealed. So I picked a couple of them up. I'll bring them in right now. Bam, the first one is an 80 proof, 101 month old, whatever the math is on that, decanter from 1978. That's a year before I was born. And you can see the tack strip on the back is still perfectly intact. So I don't know if this was distilled in 78 or bottled in 78, but either way, still super old. And then the other one that I got, bam, this is a 90 proof, 101 months old. And this one's from 1976. Also, you can see the tack strip is still perfectly intact. Whiskey inside them. So when I found out that they had this, you don't usually get a chance to buy vintage whiskey from the 70s that's never been opened before. So whether or not this is actually good inside the decanters, I don't know. I've heard that some of the best whiskey comes from old decanters and some of the worst. I will probably open these at some point. I don't know what they're worth as a collector's item. I know the guy that worked there said that they had a few more of them before and some museum came and bought some of them. But I paid, I think, $70 for each one of them, which, again, it's vintage whiskey from the 70s. It's never been opened before. If nothing else, it's just something cool to have on your shelf. I've got plenty of decanter bottles from like Jim Beam and stuff, but those are all open and empty and whatever. So I kind of mulled over it on the vacation. I was like, oh God, can I get them home without breaking them? Is it worth buying them? And then my wife was like, you're gonna get home and regret not buying those bottles. And I was like, yeah, you know what, you're right. So When your wife is telling you to go ahead and spend the money on the whiskey, go ahead and spend the money on the whiskey. And I'm glad I did, because I know that if I had gotten home and not bought these, I would definitely have regretted it. So these things are actually part of a like a series that was released by Ezra Brooks. These are from the Hopi Indian tribe, and these are called Kachina masks. I don't know much about the history of them, but you can actually read up on them. You can look these up, and they'll give the little story behind them. But this is from like an actual series that Ezra Brooks put out. So anyway, I just want to share that cool store and this cool whiskey find. So look for these maybe on an upcoming video or a live stream. I think I'm going to crack these open on the channel at some point. Let me know in the comments what you would do if you were me. And if you haven't already liked, comment, and or subscribe, please do so. This has been a little bit of bourbon hunting from Fredonia, Arizona. On the Bourbon Note, I'm Ben. We'll see you on the next one.